So thank you very much for coming again to this lecture. Today I want to talk about setting up a company, but before I start, I have a guest that I would like to introduce and maybe to invite her to say a few words to us. A couple of days ago, after I spoke to the radio station, to the BFM, I received an email from Professor Nethi. She's from the Abraham Fischler School of Education at Nova Southeastern University in Florida. And she was very interested in the concept of the massive open online courses, and she said, let us meet. So I said, maybe you can just come and attend one of the classes, and then we can have lunch after that, and we see how can we serve you. So I'd like you all to make her feel very welcomed by giving her a huge round of applause. And maybe she can say a few words about why is she here, and yeah.
A very good morning to all of you. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here because, like Prof. Mushtak said, I'm with a university in Florida called Nova Southeastern University, and I'm actually a professor like him. I teach in the doctoral program in education, and we offer the program in Asia, in Kuala Lumpur, in Seoul and Shanghai. So whenever I'm in Asia, I'm based here in Kuala Lumpur. But more importantly, we're very interested in online learning and blended learning. In fact, our doctoral program is offered in a combination of on-site, where we meet for brief periods of time, and then online learning. So I teach a virtual classroom. Unfortunately, I don't have the privilege of having a sea of faces in front of me. Most of the time, I'm just talking to my computer. You know, so what MOOC has done is amazing in terms of, I'm sure you know, being in this class, the number of people that a MOOC can reach. And I don't know how much you know of the background of a massive open online classroom. It reaches, some of them reach more than 200,000 students all over the world. So you can imagine the impact of MOOC if it is successful in terms of bringing education to people all over the world. And I'm sure you are in the process of experiencing through your group work what it's like to have people who are not like you doing credits for an engineering degree, but rather are doing it out of interest, knowing that they're not going to get any credits, they're not going to get a degree out of it, basically doing it either to get the knowledge, the skills, the experience, or you could have someone who is 72 years old who is just interested in continuing learning. Okay, so I'm very interested in this concept of teaching and learning, and I'm doing a little bit of research in this area which is just opening up. So that's a little bit about where I am and where I come from. And again, thank you so much to Prof. Mushtak as well as to you for allowing me to experience this.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Great. So as you remember, we spoke about entrepreneurship in general and how thinking is extremely important in it. And we also talked about other things like forming a team, and also what do we mean by value proposition and things like that. So today I would like to talk about building a company or setting up a company. Now, most of what I'm going to talk about will be put in a Malaysian context, because we believe that most of our on-campus students, if they opt to build a company, will be eventually having it maybe here. But what I'm going to say will, I believe, be applicable to other parts of the world more or less. So before I move on, let me talk about what's a business entity. You know, any commercial, industrial, or a professional activity undertaken, and you are charging people or providing a service, this can be called a business. So let me just fix this a little bit. Right. And in Malaysia, if you are running a business, you must get it registered. This is a requirement. This is a legal requirement. So the government body that takes care of the registration of companies is called Companies Commission of Malaysia, or in Malay is Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia, SSM. And when you come up with a company or a business, one of the, besides satisfying the legal requirement, it's actually an opportunity for you to streamline a number of activities that you put together. So one of the reasons why we set a company is to reduce the cost of transaction. So if I have my own, let's say, HR department, manufacturing department, then the fact that I'm working together with people within the company, I can just, you know, pick up the phone and speak to them, then it makes it easier. The cost of any transaction will be less. Or we hope, if the company is working well, that it will be less and will be more efficient in terms of providing the value proposition that we have promised to our customers. So let's talk about the types of business. A business could be an enterprise, and that could be a sole ownership, so one person owns it, or it could be a partnership. And it also could be a limited liability company. So these are the major two types of businesses. A limited liability company could either be a private limited company, so it's often in Australia and other parts of the world followed the name of the company with the privately limited, or in Malaysia we say Sendirian Berhad, SDN BHD, or it could be a public limited company. So this would be only limited. Now the difference between the private limited and the public limited would be the public company is traded. Their shares are traded on the stock exchange. You can buy them, you can sell them. A private company, although it has shares, but this is owned by the people who have maybe started the company or bought shares into the company. So it's not traded on the share market. So if they don't want to sell it, they don't want to sell it. That's a reality of life. So for example, Taylor's University is a private company. So it's owned by some people, and I think if you want to buy shares, I don't think they're interested in selling any. Yeah, but if you are talking about, I don't know, Google or Apple or this kind of companies, I think there is an opportunity for you, if someone is interested in selling their shares, to go and purchase them on the shares market. I'll speak a little bit about the difference between the enterprise and the limited liability company, but most of my talk today going to focus on the private limited company, because most likely when you guys going to start and you want to, if you are planning to set up a company, that would be the type of company you are going to set up. So as you can see, I have 3 columns here. So the second column will talk about the enterprise, and it will compare it to the public limited company. So in terms of formation, the enterprise could be done by a single owner, and the owner in Malaysia has to be Malaysian. This is a legal requirement in this country. If you are running a public limited company or a private, actually, limited company, you can have an unlimited number of owners, and the owners could be foreigners as well. So I could, as a foreigner myself, I could legally establish a company here. There's no issue. But I cannot have an enterprise. Now, the liability for the enterprise is unlimited. So let's talk about liability. When you hear the word liability, what do you think it refers to? That's a question. So if someone would like to answer, we will just wait for the mic. Liability. Just try. We have a professor from Florida. Yeah. Okay, what does liability mean to you in general, not in this context? Speak to the mic.
Disadvantage. Disadvantage.
Is it advantage or disadvantage?
Disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good try. Yes. Anyone who knows a bit more about liability in this context? I said you'd like to try? Please? I said would like to try.
Liability is what is expected of me, I think.
Liability is what is expected of you.
I mean, I need to fulfill it.
So something is expected of you, you need to fulfill.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Maybe Mike can, or Chris, yeah, or both.
I think liability is like, say if your company goes bankrupt, how much you have to pay.
Right.
Let's say.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. You want to say something, Chris?
I think liability is like the repercussions of your business. Perhaps it's something like what Mike said. If you are successful, then you reap more benefits. But at the same time, if you are at a loss, you would actually lose more than whatever you would just invest in your company. In a sense that they can actually take your private property and that kind of thing.
Yes. So whatever you've said is actually true, is correct. So if you are having an enterprise, and let's say you take a loan from the bank, and then you buy a ship, and the ship sinks, and let's say you did not insure it, so suddenly you are bankrupt. Now, the creditors, the people that you borrowed money from, they can go not only after the assets of your company, but also after your own personal assets. So if it's an enterprise, then they can go and take your car, take your house, take whatever, things that you have. While if it's a company, it's slightly different because the company will own its own, let's say, buildings and other assets, and then the creditors could have access only to that. So there is a protection kind of element in that. The enterprise, in terms of funding, mostly it will come from your own funds, from your family. Normally the banks find it a bit difficult to fund an enterprise, but if you have a company with a track record and ability to deliver and things like that, then the banks will be more interested in giving you a loan. So again, for example, when Taylor's wanted to build this campus, even if it's a private company, there are a number of banks who are very interested in financing this project because they know that the university has a track record and the university will be able to pay back the loan and the interest. In terms of forming the enterprise compared to the company, the company has a little bit more in terms of paperwork and things like that. The management, normally an enterprise is run by its owner, but a company could be run by the owners, and also they will have the professional management team. The taxation, this refers to the Malaysian context. An enterprise is just like you. So you will be taxed your personal tax according to the rules and regulations, while the company will be taxed as a separate entity. So these are the main differences between an enterprise and a company. Now, most of, as I said, what I'm going to talk about today is really about how to form a company and what is required to form a company in Malaysia. Before this, let me talk about a company. What's a company and why do we need a company? Now, I believe that a company is an opportunity for creation. You are bringing something new to this world. And it's an opportunity to create a culture. It's an opportunity to create even a language and a whole ecosystem. I'll talk a little bit about this. Which company you think a lot of people would like to work for? Have you heard? Yes? Google. So why do you think people would like to work for Google? Just a second. Yeah.
They offer the best working environment.
Right.
They are flexible with their working hours, and they're successful in bringing out the best in you.
Right.
Where you're happy and you deliver your best.
Right. So there is a culture. There is a whole ecosystem. You go there. The furniture is different. The way they do things is different, and you feel that they will be able to bring the best out of you. Now, you just imagine before that company was formed, someone needed to think of that new baby that will be different, that will be doing things that are not, other corporates are not doing it in necessarily the same way. Now, if you are thinking or contemplating or interested in eventually forming your own company, your own business, I'd like you to really view it as an opportunity to bring a new reality to the world. So when I say a new culture, when you say, for example, it's flexible, or you can work from wherever, this is a culture, this is a decision that the founders has made. Likewise, a language. You know, in our course, what is the word that we decided to get rid of? What word?
Problem.
But it means we didn't really get rid of it. We just used it.
Challenge. It's now challenge.
So it's now challenge. It's the P word that we decided to get rid of. So you literally could say, in my company, you cannot utter this word or that word, or maybe when you greet someone, you have to say, good morning, your awesomeness. I don't know. You could decide that, and then you build a new language in which people will really eventually change. And you could build your own ecosystem. So your company could have its own bank, its own nursery, its own restaurant. That's all your choice. So this is the first thing. I mean, you have seen that the whole course is really geared towards, we start at the thought level. We start at the idea level because the idea is extremely important. So a company is an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for creation. It's an opportunity for bringing new reality to the world. You cannot necessarily change the entire world straight away, but you could build a new ecosystem that is different and hope maybe eventually the world will become like that when people like I said things like Google. Have you been to Google? No, but you heard about them. And there's a reason why you heard about them, why people are aspiring to work there, and they think it's a cool thing, it's a great thing to be part of that company. Now, the other very interesting thing about the company is that it outlives its founders. Now, if I ask you a question of a great company that changed the world, what comes to your mind? Yes, someone say something there? Ford. So Ford has changed the world. So Ford was established by Henry Ford, who is no longer here. But we still see a car that's called Ford. The company is still there. So a company can outlive. So it doesn't have a soul, doesn't have a body, it cannot go to hell, it cannot die. Now, the company may go bankrupt. Yes, that's understandable. But really, it is, in a way, an opportunity for the founder or the founders to really outlive their span of life on this earth. So it is a very powerful notion if you really think about it from that point of view. The company also protects the shareholders. So, you know, when you are going into a certain business venture, you will know that if you have a company, then if anything happens, at least you could protect, you know, your home or your car. You won't really be wiped out entirely because of what has happened to you. So these are the things that I would like you to keep in your mind at the thought level when we talk about a company. Any question thus far? Great. So now I'll start talking about the more tangible things, the paperwork. So now you are excited, you have an idea, a few of you want to establish a company and you really think, how will it look like? You have even the name in your mind and you think this is going to change the world. So what to do next? So this is the process that you can actually go through. So first thing, you need to choose a name. And this is an extremely important stage. You know, just like when we are first born, our parents give us a name that we will be stuck with for the rest of our life. And I said it's laughing. You like your name, don't you? Yeah. What does it mean? Lion. It means a lion. So you grow up to be a lion. So we need to choose the right name for our company. Then this is a legal requirement in Malaysia. We need to appoint a company secretary. So we need to go to people who provide this service. It's called the company secretary, and we tell them, look, I want to establish a company. I want to call it Lion Private Limited or Lion Sendirian Berhad. Then they will check if the name is available for us. So if the name is taken, they will say, look, this is taken. Or if the name, for whatever reason, cannot be used in the country. So for example, if you say the Malaysian Royal Company, straight away they won't allow you to use that. The Royal, you know, that word, you cannot just simply use it. So there are certain legal aspects of naming a company that you need to be aware of. Or if the name is taken, then it's taken. So you cannot just simply say, I want to establish a company that's called AirAsia, because this is, I believe, is taken. Then the company secretary will help you draft a document that's called Memorandum of Association. I'm going to talk about this in the following slide later. So they will write it for you. This is like, what's the company is about, what's going to do, and often the company secretary will advise you that they will make it very flexible and vague so that you could literally go into whatever line of business that you want to do later. And they will also help you draft the article of association. And with these two documents, they will submit to the company commissions, Malaysia, on your behalf, and they will be able to register the business for you. So normally the process in Malaysia takes around 10 days. So within 10 days, you will have a company registered. After you register the company, you will need to appoint an accountant. Now, this is again a legal requirement. So when you are to submit your tax returns to the government, whether you made money or not, you still have to do that. The documents that you will submit need to come from a certified accountant that is registered in the country. These are legal requirements. So it's as simple as this, and I'm going to give you a bit more details about especially the Memorandum of Association and the Article of Association, and also the where to find a company secretary. So the Memorandum of Association is a document that has the name of the company mentioned and the company's registered address. So where is your headquarters? It could be your home, but it cannot be a post box. It has to be a real physical address in the country. And what is the nature of business? So if you are sure that your company is going to be only doing furniture or education, you could put this in the Memorandum of Association. But if you are not very sure what you are going to do, or maybe you would like to venture into other types of business, then the company secretary will normally advise you to write it in a more flexible way. Then you need to mention that the liability of the members is limited. This has to be really put in the Memorandum of Association. And you will need to declare what is your authorized capital. Now, I'm going to talk about the authorized capital later. These are really the key things that I would like you to remember at the end of today. How to establish a company, what's a Memorandum of Association, and what's authorized capital, and what's paid up capital. See, these are the things that I'm going to talk a bit more about them in a short while. The Article of Association, again, has the name of the company and the names of the directors, the first directors, of whom you will need at least 2. So if Lim and I are establishing a company, so let's say our company is called Lim and Mushtak, and the name of each first director would be his name and my name, and you need a minimum of 2. And you need also the name of the first company secretary. The company secretary is not someone that you are stuck with him or her for life. You can always change. But who was the company secretary that helped you in establishing your company? This has to be in the Article of Association. And you need to talk about the minimum and maximum number of directors. So you could say we have a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 10. That's your choice. But these are information that are expected to be in the Article of Association. So I'm going to show you a website. This is actually a company that does, I'm not promoting these people, but they are the ones who, an example of the company secretary that can do the job on your behalf. And you could see there's register new private limited company at 1,460 ringgit only. So if you have that much of money, you have an idea, you could get your company registered. Now, I don't advise you to go and register companies first. You need to have the business idea, the value proposition, and then if you really you feel that you need the company because this will give you more leverage when you speak to the banks or other businesses, then you can start working on that. So this is actually just an example of a number of companies that provide this service in the country. Now let me talk about the authorized and paid up capital. If we establish a company, we need to say how much is our authorized capital. So the authorized capital is really the maximum number of shares that we can issue. So if we say our company the authorized capital is going to be 100,000 ringgit or 300,000 ringgit or 1 million ringgit. It's entirely up to us, but it really sets a limit on how much shares we can issue for our company. So normally you will start with 100,000 ringgit authorized capital, but our paid up capital could be, he come up with 2,000, I come up with 2,000, and then we say this is our advance. So we give this as the first 2 directors to the company. So the company will issue us shares. So if equals 1 ringgit, he will have 2,000 shares, and I have 2,000 shares. And that money, what will happen to it? So 2,000 from him, 2,000 from me. What will happen? The first thing we will pay maybe the 1,460 for the company secretaries. That would be maybe the first payment. Yeah, the moment we have the name, we can open a bank account under the company name, and whatever money is left, we'll put it in the bank account, and then we see how are we going to go about our business. So this is the difference between the authorized capital and the paid up capital. Is it clear? Good. So these are really what I wanted to talk to you today about the company. I will take any questions if you have, and after that I'll speak about what you will be doing for next week. We won't be having classes for next week, so we won't have a class and a tutorial, but I am giving you as a team the first major assignment. So before we do that, do you have any question about the company, the article of association, the memorandum, the paid up capital, the authorized capital? These are the main things that I would like you to remember when it comes to forming a company in Malaysia. Yes, there's a question there. Just wait for the mic, please.
The authorized capital, the amount is set by the founders, right?
Yes.
So like, is there any particular advantage or disadvantage to set like a very high authorized capital?
Yes. You see, there are definitely some legal requirements. So for example, you as a director, there will be a search on you as well. So you will need to have that much of money personally or that much of assets. The nature of business has to require, so you don't simply say, I will put my authorized capital to be 1 million ringgit, but you are just having a small shop to sell. So these are there needs to be some alignment between what you are doing and who are you as a director. So here, if you would like to be a director, the company secretary will submit your documents. So the government will be checking, have you got any bankruptcy before? And so there's a bit of background check over you. Now, if in the future, for whatever reason, you really move into airline business and you need to buy airplanes, and then this 100,000 becomes trivial compared to what you do, you can always revise and go, yeah. So what I would like to advise is, if you are starting something small, maybe you start at the 100,000 ringgit first, and then you move it from there. Now the other advantage for setting a certain ceiling would be, let's imagine that we have got you with us. So is now Lim, Mushtak, and Nick in our company, and you become a partner, and you guys conspired, and let's say we have a very high limit. So suddenly the company is working with, instead of the 100,000 that I thought of, you are working at a higher level, which is 1 million, and then you issue shares and you sell it to other people, and then the business goes bust for whatever reason. Maybe I don't want to be part of a company that is bankrupt. So if it is within that limit, maybe personally I would like to pay to settle. But if suddenly the business is working at a level that's well beyond what I expected, then the risk is very high, and I may, as a person, have a bankrupt company on my record, which may be something I don't want to have. Yeah, very good question. Thank you very much. Any other question? When we started this course, one of my hopes is that some of you guys will be really going to spin off some companies, and maybe to have the school as partners with you, and maybe our labs to be your registered address. So just think about it as seriously as you can. Now, so let's assume that everything is clear. I would like to introduce to you the challenge that you'll be working on next week. So, using a maximum capital of 5 ringgit, and for the benefit of our online participants, one American dollar is around 3 Malaysian ringgits. I would like you to work with your team members. So that would be for you guys, you here, and those who are online, the online participants. But for those who are, for the teams that have only online participants, that I would like them to work with their team members to work for a week. So it's from today until next Friday to conceive, design, implement, and operate a business idea. Anything. And make as much money as you can. So I don't want you to use a capital beyond the 5 ringgit. But have a business idea and implement it and make as much money as you can, and then report on your success in either 3 slides or a video, maybe a 2-minute video, and upload it on Open Learning. So we will create the platform for you to upload. So that would be, for example, this is team Dominic and Lim, and we washed cars for a week, and we used the 5 ringgit to purchase washing materials, and we made 20 ringgit. Or it could be Asad and Muhammad, and we didn't even use the 5 ringgit, we didn't even need it, we did something else, and we made 1,000 ringgit. So the mark for this exercise will literally be how many folds you have managed to increase the money. So how much profit you managed to achieve. So on the 15th of May, that's the Wednesday after next, the class will be, you guys, team by team here, will be presenting to us how much money you have made through this week. So you could literally, right after this class, start conspiring, deciding what you are going to do. Goes without saying, whatever you do, needs to be legal. Yeah, so yeah, that's very important. Yeah, so on the 15th, I will be off the hook. I don't need to deliver any lecture, but you guys will stand here one by one and tell us how much money you made and how did you do it? So any questions regarding this? We have some time. So can you share your question with us, please, so that the rest I can...
Because Michael was saying, is it just a plan or just actually we use the
No, it's not only a plan. It's not just write me a business plan. I want you to come and say, I did this and I lost 1,000 ringgit. I don't know. But you see, the capital cannot be more than 5 ringgit. So you cannot use a lot of money. So let's just have a discussion. Any ideas? What can you do? Any idea what you are going to do? Chris has an idea. So can you share what you are going? What comes to your mind? Yeah. Won't be what? Won't be copied. Well, this is something that I cannot. So you are buying a lottery ticket, aren't you? No. Okay.
Basically, our idea is actually to sell postcards.
Sell postcards.
Kind of like, what do you call it? Homemade postcards.
Okay.
Because Mike has skills of, photography and.
Right.
So we're going to use.
So this cannot be copied because the value proposition that comes through him. It's very difficult to be copied.
So we're going to use the capital to print this and then sell it and hopefully make quite.
Sure. So that's an idea. What do you think? Anything that came to your mind?
Not actually, because I don't know that can we work in here.
You don't know whether this can work. It better works, otherwise you won't pass, man.
I don't mean that, but I don't know that can we work in here in Malaysia.
You don't know whether you can work in Malaysia.
Yeah.
But I didn't ask you to work.
Yeah.
You see, as an entrepreneur, you don't see this as a P or as a challenge. This is an opportunity. So if you cannot work, can you convince someone else to work on your behalf?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, yeah. You have to try. Yes, and that's what you see. I want you to really think out of the box. Now, this work that I'm talking about, did I say you have to go and sell things in Malaysia? I didn't say that. I just said you use an equivalent of 5 ringgit to do something, which could be in Finland.
Yeah.
Right? So all you need is how can you, from now until Friday, the same time, Friday noon, I want you to really stop working on this by Friday noon. So that we have exactly 1 week. So we want to see all this brain power plus 5 ringgit, how much you guys can make out of it, how much value you can add. And your playground is the world.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, there is a, please here.
We are planning to organize a tournament.
Tournament, okay.
Yeah, futsal tournament.
Okay.
We're gonna charge for each team has to pay a certain amount of money. And
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. So they are planning a tournament, futsal tournament, and then the how much you'll be charging each team?
Each team should pay 50.
50 ringgit.
Yeah.
And how much is the rental of the court?
Nothing.
Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, okay. Sounds like good. Okay. Yeah. So these are some of the ideas. Now, when you start talking, you may change it, you may enhance it. That's entirely up to you. You know, I'm really hoping that people will come and say, "Wow, man, you really opened." I'm dropping engineering right away, because in 1 week I made 10,000 ringgit, and I'm going to move into this, and When's this? You told me I can have your labs as a registered address. Can we talk about that? This is going to be really, really great. So I want you to really think, and I said, I want you to report your success. Don't come and say, I lost my 5 ringgit. Please. Yeah. We have been talking and working on entrepreneurship for more than a month now. Yeah, and this is going to be recorded, so I really want to hopefully collectively show that we have made so much money that you guys are reinforcing the importance of entrepreneurship and how we can, through that, we add value. Now, the limitations that I'm putting in terms of the capital and the time are intentional, because often there are limitations out there. And an entrepreneur, as we said, is an individual who thinks differently and who is able to unlock the potential. The potential is always there, waiting for the right idea, the right person to unlock it, and maybe after that everyone is going to copy your work. Okay? Anyone else would like to share his or her idea? Or have a question? You just tell us what you are going to do. What you are thinking of.
Sell Dota items online.
Cannot hear.
Sell Dota items online for the online game thing.
Dota items. What's the Dota item? So this is something that I think a Dota item. Is it oh, this Dota still going on? Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought no one plays Dota anymore. No. Nobody plays that. Oh, okay. So nobody plays that, but she's going to sell.
No, it's just Dota 2. They play it still. They play.
They play. Okay. Okay. Great. If you make what do you call this? Minecraft items. You know what's Minecraft? Yeah, this one actually my son will buy, because he keeps on telling me I want to buy the Minecraft things, but I don't know where to buy them. But I'm not sure whether if you make Dota items you have to get permission from the owners or not. You don't have to. How do you know? Oh, because this is Malaysia. So please, you need to do things legally, because you know the reputation of the country is extremely important. So don't violate any intellectual property rights and things like that. That's very, very important. Yeah. Okay, so next, the Wednesday after next, you will be coming here to present for 5 minutes what has happened with the 5 ringgit challenge. Every team is going to present. And I expect to be surprised. Okay? Thank you very much.